Hello, it's your girl Sid. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Y'all, I'm trying something a little different today. How focused I can stay and how on track. We'll see how this goes. So today I'm actually going to try to do two things at one time. I just took off my old nails and I'm about to do these Christmas press-ons. Guys, some of these ain't cute. These are not cute. Okay, some of these aren't cute. Anyway, this is something different. I'm not really trying to show y'all how I do my nails. I'm just trying to talk while I'm doing this at the same time, so I'm not wasting time. But anyway, so I just finished reading the book of Ruth, the last two chapters, 8 and 9. But before I even did that, I was listening to a sermon by Dr. Darius Daniels. And wait, let me just make this, let me just say this really quick. I think I pronounced a couple words wrong in my last video. I think I was looking back. I think I called them the book of anals, and I think it's the book of anals. Like, I'm just, y'all, this is, yeah, anyway. Excuse me if I mispronounce some words, because sometimes the words in the Bible, they can be a little tricky. Sometimes I have to look up definitions, write them out, like try to get a deeper understanding. Sometimes you gotta dive really deep. Something is in my sometimes you gotta dive really deep to really understand the word, because sometimes it can be confusing, and it's okay to look up different versions, because that's what I do. Sometimes I'm in the NIV, sometimes I'm in the NLT, sometimes I'm in the King James Version, the New King James Version, because those, they all have like, y'all excuse me, I'm so sorry. They all use different wording, and because it was translated so many different times, you want to make sure you're getting the proper context and really studying a word. I'm just really getting into that. Even if that means looking up definitions of words that I don't understand, that's what we're gonna do. But anyway, so I just finished the the book of Esther, and man, the way that it ended was just powerful, just as I thought it would yesterday before I even read it, and how the Jews succeeded. But how they succeeded was just so daggone good, is because after the plot of Haman was revealed to the king, and he was impaled on the same pole that he was trying to have Mordecai impaled on, the king still asked Esther, what more can I do for you? Whatever you desire, I desire to do it for you. And she pled with the king, and she kneeled down at his feet, and she asked him, she was like, if it pleases you, king, free my people. Because though Haman was dead, he still had sons, he still had his wife, and he still probably had a team of people who were out to kill the Jews. So Mordecai, not only did the king agree to assist the Jews and save the Jews from these people, he gave Mordecai the same signet ring that he gave to Haman to make the decree. So he was able to reverse the decree, and he was able to do the same thing to Haman's people, Haman's family, and anyone associated with trying to take the Jews out. He was able, Lord, I'm missing something. Okay. He was able to turn around the decree and do it to his people. They end up killing thousands of men, because the decree just exposed the enemy. Wow, that's so good. Thank you, Holy Spirit, for sharing that. The decree just exposed the enemy, because though Mordecai and Esther may have thought Haman and his people were just against the Jews, the decree for the Jews to be protected by the king's order only revealed more of the enemies. And it was just so powerful, because they end up killing thousands of enemies of the Jews, but they didn't take their plunder. They didn't take the possessions after. They didn't take anyone's possessions after killing them. And King Xerxes also gave Queen Esther the estate of Haman, and Queen Esther in turn gave that estate to Mordecai. So Mordecai ended up gaining more than what he had. All he wanted to do was save his people, because he had a heart for his people. He desired to save his people. So in doing that, In doing that, he was able to spare his people's lives. He didn't have to take their possessions, because possessions was given to him just for being an honorable person, just for being honorable person. He ended up becoming second in command to the king after doing all of this. After 5 years of waiting, after 5 years of not being honored or feeling honored, or 5 years of sorrow, or 5 years of wondering when is God going to show up, he ended up wearing the robe and the ring. He got the robe and the ring. God turned his mourning into joy. He was able to take the sackcloth and ashes and turn it into robes of royal blues and purples and gold. He turned it around. God uses everything that we're going through, and he turns it around, and he does it to his enemy, but he also turns your mourning and your sorrow into dancing and joy, because after that, they were able to celebrate. They were able to celebrate and thank the Lord for everything that they had done, that he had done for them, and spared their lives. Not, like I said, the Jews had a new ally, and the ally was the king, the one in the highest power. Like, it can't get no better than that. Like, it literally gets no better than that, how God can turn things around for our good without us having to do much work, but showing up. All Mordecai did was show up and bring his contribution. Oh my gosh, because I'm going to try to relay it back to what I was listening to earlier with Dr. Darius Daniels, when he was talking about love. When God called us to love, it's not a feeling of love. It's your contribution. Love equates to contribution. What are you contributing to? Mordecai was able to be raised up because his contribution to save his people. He was not thinking of self. And because he was selfless, and his blessing was linked to his contribution. And it was linked to his selflessness. Because he could have just thought about himself. He literally could have thought of himself and kept it pushing. Because he was saved. He no longer had to worry about Haman coming after him or his people. He could have stopped right there. But he was like, no, I'm about to take out every enemy. I'm about to take out every enemy. I'm going to make this decree to take out every enemy who's tried to come against my people. And that's exactly what he did. He never stopped to think about himself. Neither did Queen Esther. And she was able to reveal the truth to the king after it was all said and done. Even though Mordecai in the beginning told her not to say anything. Don't even reveal who you are. They were able to reveal themselves to the king without harm, but with a new ally. With a new ally. And that's what God is trying to do in us, through us. And he's just showing me that nothing is wasted. No time is wasted. No tear is wasted. Nothing is wasted. Like I said yesterday, God is strategic in what he does. He is very strategic, and we don't have to worry about when he's going to show up, how he's going to show up, because the way he shows up, like I said, let the enemy continue to think he's planning your demise. Let him think that he's planning to take you out. Because lo and behold, those same plans, he's about to flip those things and make them work for your good, and then elevate you in the process. Because Haman thought he was going to destroy Mordecai. In the end, he only helped him in his exaltation. I believe that's what it said. It only helped him, aided him in his exaltation. He was only being exalted. Did Mordecai even know that he was being exalted through that? Imagine being Mordecai in that situation. Your life is on the line. You think you're gonna die. There's no way you can even enter the palace because you don't have that right. You don't have that power. So you're on the outside trying to get on the inside to save your people. You're trying to get on the inside to save your people, but you can't even do that. You have one ally inside, which is your new adopted daughter. But she doesn't even know if she could help. But because they opened their mouth and because they had a will to do for their people and to contribute, they were able to be exalted. They were given more than what they came with. He was able to take over Haman's estate. There was no telling how big his estate was. Clearly it was nice because he was able to he was able to, I guess, from where Haman, this is my thought on it. I'm assuming where Haman lived was high enough above the city of Susa, or the citadel of Susa, to where he built this pole that was so tall above the city that everyone could see when he was gonna, how he was gonna hang or impale Mordecai. But guess what? They built even more of those same poles that they were going to use to take him out, and they did it to his 10 sons. I mean, he took the 10 sons out and everything, y'all. I'm trying to tell you, the God does not play about his children. And the more that the enemy schemes against you, God is going to come in 10 times harder behind it. Literally 10 times harder. He does not play about his children. He means business when it comes to us. He means business when it comes to us. And he wants us to understand that and not shrink back and think that he's never going to show up on our behalf just because it takes time. And though it doesn't come when we think it's supposed to come, God knows exactly what he's doing. And we have to really trust him. We have to really trust him, because in the patience it really shows us where our trust is. And he has said, the sermon that I listened to, he has said, your patience or lack thereof can either produce an Isaac or it can produce an Ishmael. Ishmael was one of Abraham's sons, but of course he made him with one of his wife's servants, because they lacked the patience to wait on the promise of God. But when you're patient, because Mordecai could have lost all patience, he could have given up on it, and the Jews just could have been defeated. But because of his patience and his willingness to trust and wait on God, he was able to see victory. Not only victory, but be exalted in victory, become the second in command to the king. A man who was not able, I keep going back to this point, a man who was not able to even enter the palace had now full access because of his patience, because of his trust in God, and him leaning not on his own understanding, but allowing God to come up with this plan to spare him and his people. He's like, if I know I can't do it alone, like, that's the thing. You have to get to a place where you like, God, I know for a fact I can't do this on my own. This is outside of my strength, outside of my willpower. Lord, I need you to put your super on my natural and help me to defeat my enemies. Literally. Help me to defeat my enemies, because some things we can't do in our own strength, not by might, not by power, but by the Spirit of the living God. Does these things happen in our lives? Some things take time, and he is just saying you can't skip steps. You can't skip steps just because it's a miraculous move of God, and he does this thing, or he does things to quickly get us from one place to another, because sometimes it is a quick transition, but we still, even in that, we still can't skip steps. We can't skip steps. So it was just powerful to see God do his thing. Today, y'all, I'm going to keep it real short. That's all I had to say. That's all that was given. That's not all I had to say. That was all that was given to me. And the quick revelation of God. Or not quick, because God, like I said, he reveals himself. The story is not over. Continue to read. The story is not over. I was going to show y'all me doing my nails, but I will show y'all the end result. I will post the picture. You know what I mean. Let me see what I wrote really quick, what I wanted to share with y'all. Greatness requires patience. This is from Darius Daniels' sermon. It says, just because it's a miracle, it doesn't mean you can skip the process. Patience isn't a feeling, it's an attitude. It's one of the fruit of the spirits. And his patience is the ability to manage desire wisely. He said that desire, when we become in God, our desires do not just disappear, or they don't just fade, or our hunger for more, all of that. We just have to submit those things to God so that we don't end up with an Ishmael, something that he didn't even want to happen. But we don't ever believe that because God isn't in it, that it can't be fruitful. Oh, that's what he said. My God, he had me like almost running around the room. Don't believe that because God isn't in it, that it can't be fruitful. Because what God does, though some of the things that we can do on our own can produce fruit, but it will be, like I just said, one of Ishmael, something that God didn't even promise. But when we wait on the true thing, the real thing, God can do it 10 times better. God can do it 10 times better, because Mordecai could have done it in his own strength and could have just left it. The story could have ended with Haman just dying, and that's it. But God took it a step further. He killed thousands on his behalf. The Jews were able to have celebration in the city and outside the city. He was able to get a decree out, use the king's resources. He was able to use the king's resources to send men out to spread the words that the Jews had victory over their enemies. The fastest and the greatest horses, they were able to not only spare the Jews' lives, but be able to have space, have land to celebrate what the Lord has done. So let God do it. Let God do it. Move how he desires you to move, because we still have to participate. But let God move how he desires to move. Y'all, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. I'm going to try to get these nails did. Like I said, I'm going to show y'all what it looks like afterwards. Let's hope that this comes out well. Thank you for tuning in.